Welcome back to Business English Desk. I'm Laura.
And I'm Jamie. And today we have another really practical episode.
Like genuinely one of those episodes you will use every single day.
Because today we are talking about how to give advice in English naturally, confidently,
without sounding too blunt, too pushy, or too formal.
5 expressions, 5 completely different tones and situations.
And by the end of this episode, you will know exactly which one to use and when.
So let's get into it. But before we get into the expressions, let's talk about why this matters.
Yes, because most learners give advice in English using just one phrase.
You should, right? You should do this. You should try that. You should, you should, you should.
And the problem is not that you should is wrong.
It is not wrong.
It is just very direct.
Sometimes too direct.
And in English, especially in British and American culture,
being too direct with advice can feel pushy, bossy, even rude.
Like, imagine your friend tells you about a problem, and you immediately say, you should do this. It can feel like you are not really listening, like you have already decided before they finish talking.
And native speakers almost always soften their advice.
They wrap it in gentler language.
More respectful language.
Language that says, this is just my opinion.
You don't have to follow it.
But here's what I think.
And that approach actually makes the advice more powerful, not less.
Because the person feels respected, not lectured.
And respected people actually listen. Okay, let's get into expression number 1.
Expression number 1. If I were you. And this one is one of the most powerful ways to give advice in English because it does something really clever.
What is that?
It puts you in the other person's shoes. You're saying, I understand your situation, and from that place, here's what I would do.
Right. It is not, you should do this. It's, if I were in your position, this is what I would choose.
And that small shift makes a huge difference.
Because suddenly, the advice feels like empathy, not instruction, like understanding, not judgment. So for example, if I were you, I'd talk to your manager about this.
Meaning, in your situation, that's what I would do.
Or, if I were you, I wouldn't send that email just yet.
Meaning, I understand you're frustrated, but in your position, I would wait.
And notice the grammar of this expression.
Yes, if I were you, not if I was you.
And this is one of the most common mistakes even among advanced learners.
Right, because in everyday speech, many native speakers say, if I was you. Casually.
But the grammatically correct form, the one that sounds most natural in professional settings, is if I were you.
Were, not was.
Always were. And after if I were you, you almost always use I'd.
Which is I would.
Like, if I were you, I'd take the job.
Or if I were you, I'd apologize.
Or if I were you, I'd wait.
I'd. Always I'd.
Not I will.
Not I should.
I'd.
And the tone of if I were you works in almost any setting.
Right. You can use it with a close friend.
Or a colleague.
Or even in a professional context, like a mentor advising someone.
It always feels warm.
Personal.
Genuine.
And here is the emotional moment for if I were you.
Yes. When someone says, if I were you, they are doing something beautiful.
They are stepping into your world.
Seeing things from your perspective and offering their best thinking from that place.
That is one of the kindest things you can do for another person.
And now you have the English to do it naturally. Mini quiz for if I were you.
Okay.
Question 1. Which is correct? A, if I was you, I will take the job. B, if I were you, I'd take the job.
B, if I were you, I'd take the job. Were, not was, and I'd, not I will.
Question 2. Your friend is nervous about a presentation. You want to give advice using if I were you. What do you say?
If I were you, I'd practice in front of a mirror first.
Perfect.
Question 3. If I were you makes advice feel like A, a command, B, empathy, C, criticism.
B, empathy. It puts you in their position and speaks from there.
Exactly. Let's move on.
Expression number 2.
You might want to, and this one is one of my absolute favorites.
Why?
Because it is so gentle, so careful, so respectful of the other person's autonomy.
Right, like you are not telling them what to do.
You are just quietly suggesting that this might be worth considering.
And the word might is the key.
Yes, might. Not will, not should, might.
Which means this is a possibility, not a certainty.
And you are free to decide.
Like you might want to double check those numbers.
Meaning, I think there might be an issue, but I'm saying it so gently that you don't feel embarrassed,
Right, you are protecting their dignity.
while still flagging something important.
And that is such a valuable skill, especially at work.
Like, you might want to run that by legal first.
Meaning, I'm not sure this is a good idea without checking, but I'm saying it very carefully.
Or you might want to give him a heads up before the meeting.
Meaning, I think he should know in advance. But again, it's your call.
And you also hear you might want to in everyday situations.
Like, you might want to bring a jacket. It could get cold.
Meaning, I'm not sure, but just in case, it might be useful.
So gentle, so considerate.
And native speakers use this one when they want to help someone without making them feel stupid.
Without making them feel judged.
It's advice wrapped in kindness.
And here's something interesting about this expression.
What?
It is often used as a warning.
Yes, like you might want to read the fine print.
Meaning, there is something you might have missed and it could matter.
Or you might want to check your calendar before you agree.
Meaning, I think you might have a conflict, but I'm leaving it for you to discover.
So polite.
And so effective.
And here is the emotional moment for you might want to.
Yes.
Think about the time someone gave you advice and it felt like criticism.
Like they were pointing out your mistakes.
And think about how differently you would have felt if they had said,
You might want to.
instead of you should have.
Completely different.
Completely.
Same information.
Completely different emotional impact.
And that is the power of this expression.
Mini quiz for you might want to.
Okay.
Question 1. You might want to is most similar to A, you must, B, you should definitely, C, it might be worth considering.
C. It might be worth considering. Gentle, respectful, not commanding.
Question 2. Your colleague is about to present data that you think might have an error. What do you say?
You might want to double check those numbers before the presentation.
Perfect. Gentle, helpful, not embarrassing.
Question 3. Can you use you might want to as a warning?
Yes, absolutely. You might want to read the fine print is a great example of a gentle warning.
Let's keep going. Expression number 3. I'd recommend. And this one has a slightly different energy from the first two.
Right. Because I'd recommend comes from a place of expertise.
Or experience.
Like when you say I'd recommend, you are positioning yourself as someone who knows,
Who has experience.
who has done the research.
And can offer a qualified opinion.
So it works really well in professional settings.
Yes. Like, I'd recommend starting with the free trial before committing.
Meaning, based on my experience or knowledge, that is the best first step.
Or, I'd recommend speaking to a specialist.
Meaning, that is the advice I would give from a professional standpoint.
And I'd recommend also works in everyday situations.
Like, you ask, where should I eat?
I'd recommend the place on the corner. The pasta is incredible.
That is such a natural use.
Right? And notice the grammar.
Yes. I'd recommend is followed by a noun or a verb with ing.
Like, I'd recommend the early flight.
Noun.
Or, I'd recommend checking the reviews first.
Verb with ing.
Not, I'd recommend to check.
That sounds wrong.
Very wrong.
Always noun or ing.
Never to plus verb.
And I'd recommend can also stand alone.
Like, which hotel should I choose?
Honestly, I'd recommend the boutique one downtown.
It just works.
Clean, direct, confident.
And here is an important distinction between I'd recommend and if I were you. Yes.
If I were you comes from putting yourself in their position.
But I'd recommend comes from your own knowledge,
Your own experience.
your own expertise.
Like, if I were you is personal.
I'd recommend is professional,
Two different starting points.
but both very effective.
And here is the emotional moment for I'd recommend.
Yes. Think about how it feels when someone who really knows what they are talking about,
Gives you a recommendation.
not a command, not a lecture.
Just a calm, confident, I'd recommend. It feels like being guided by someone who genuinely wants to help you.
And now you can be that person for someone else.
Mini quiz for I'd recommend.
Okay.
Question 1. Which is correct? A. I'd recommend to try the new system. B. I'd recommend trying the new system.
B. I'd recommend trying. Always ing, never to.
Question 2. I'd recommend comes from A. Putting yourself in someone else's position. B. Your own knowledge or expertise. C. A gentle warning.
B. Your own knowledge or expertise.
Question 3. A client asks you, which software is best for small businesses? What do you say?
I'd recommend starting with something simple and scalable.
Perfect. Confident, clear, professional.
Let's keep going. Expression number 4, why don't you? And this one has a really interesting quality to it.
Yes, because it is technically a question.
But it functions as a suggestion.
Right, like, why don't you talk to her?
Sounds like you are asking why they haven't talked to her.
But what you actually mean is, here's an idea, talk to her.
And using a question form softens it.
Makes it feel collaborative, like you're thinking together, not telling them what to do.
And why don't you has a very energetic quality. Right, like it's not a passive suggestion.
It's an encouraging push, like, come on, you can do this. Why don't you just try it?
Yes, it has that motivating energy, and you hear it in all kinds of situations.
Like, why don't you apply for the job? You have nothing to lose.
Meaning, I think you should, but I'm framing it as a question to make it feel like your idea.
That's actually very clever.
Right. Or, why don't you take the afternoon off? You look exhausted.
Meaning, I think you need rest, but I'm asking it as a question so it feels like an option, not a command.
And in professional settings, why don't you works really well. Like, why don't you present that idea at the next meeting?
Meaning, I think it's a good idea, and I'm encouraging you to share it.
Very supportive. Very empowering. And here's something to know about why don't you.
What?
It works best when you believe in the person.
Right.
Like,
Why don't you has an underlying message of,
I believe you can do this.
I think you are capable.
Why aren't you trying?
And that subtle belief in the other person.
Is what makes this expression so powerful.
And here is the emotional moment for why don't you?
Yes, think about someone who believed in you before you believed in yourself.
And instead of telling you what to do,
They asked, why don't you?
just try.
And that question changed something in you.
That is the power of why don't you? It is advice that sounds like belief.
Mini quiz for why don't you?
Okay.
Question 1. Why don't you is technically A, a command, B, a question used as a suggestion, C, a formal recommendation.
B, a question used as a suggestion. It softens the advice, makes it feel collaborative.
Question 2. Your friend has a great business idea but is scared to start. What do you say?
Why don't you start small and see how it goes?
Perfect. Encouraging, gentle push.
Question 3. Why don't you has an underlying message of A, criticism, B, disbelief, C, belief in the person.
C, belief in the person. It encourages, it motivates. It says, I think you can.
Exactly. Let's do the last expression.
Expression number 5, have you thought about? And this one is my favorite for a very specific reason.
What is that?
Because it doesn't give advice at all.
Wait, what do you mean?
Like, It invites the other person to think for themselves.
Right. Instead of saying, here is what you should do.
It says, here is a direction you might not have considered.
What do you think about it?
And that is so much more respectful.
So much more collaborative.
Like you are opening a door.
Not pushing them through it.
Exactly.
So for example, have you thought about talking to a professional?
Meaning, I think that might help, but I want you to consider it yourself.
Or have you thought about changing your routine?
Meaning, what you are doing might not be working, but I'm asking, not telling.
And the grammar of this expression,
Yes, have you thought about is followed by a noun or a verb with ing, like, have you thought about therapy?
noun. Or have you thought about changing your routine?
Verb with ing. Not, have you thought about to change?
That sounds wrong. Always noun or ing.
And here's something really interesting about have you thought about.
What?
It works in the most sensitive situations.
Yes.
Like when someone is going through something difficult.
And you want to help, but you don't want to overstep. Have you thought about is perfect.
Like, have you thought about speaking to someone about how you feel?
Meaning, I am concerned about you, and I think this might help, but I am not pushing.
I am asking, gently, carefully.
With care.
And that gentleness is exactly right for sensitive topics.
And in professional settings, have you thought about is just as useful.
Like, have you thought about presenting this differently?
Meaning, I think there might be a better way, but I want you to explore it, not just follow my suggestion blindly.
And here's the emotional moment for have you thought about.
Yes.
The best advice is not always the advice that tells someone what to do.
Sometimes the best advice is a question that opens a door that they hadn't seen before.
And have you thought about does exactly that.
It is advice that respects the other person's intelligence.
Their ability to figure things out with a little gentle guidance. Mini quiz for have you thought about.
Okay.
Question 1. Which is correct? A. Have you thought about to take a break? B. Have you thought about taking a break?
B. Have you thought about taking a break? Always ing, never to.
Question 2. Have you thought about works best when you want to A. Command someone, B. Open a door for them to think, C. Show your expertise.
B. Open a door for them to think. You're not telling them, you're inviting them.
Question 3. Your friend is feeling overwhelmed at work. What do you say?
Have you thought about talking to your manager about your workload?
Gentle, caring, respectful.
Exactly. Let's get to the comparison moment.
Okay, the comparison moment. Same situation, 5 different ways to give advice.
The situation is, your friend is thinking about quitting their job without another job lined up.
And you want to advise them carefully.
Here are all 5 ways.
Response 1. If I were you, I'd wait until I had something else lined up first.
Personal, empathetic. I am putting myself in your shoes.
Response 2. You might want to have something lined up before you quit.
Gentle, careful, respectful, like a quiet warning.
Response 3. I'd recommend securing another role first before making any decisions.
Professional, confident, from a place of knowledge.
Response 4. Why don't you start applying while you are still employed? It is much easier.
Encouraging, energetic, a gentle push.
Response 5. Have you thought about what you would do financially if it takes a few months to find something?
Thoughtful, opens a door, makes them think without telling them.
Same situation.
5 completely different tones,
All natural.
all appropriate.
In different moments.
And knowing which one to choose is what makes you sound fluent, not just correct. Fluent.
Roleplay time. Yes. And the scenario is, 2 close friends, Jamie and Laura, catching up, and one of them needs some advice.
Ready.
Ready.
Okay, so I need to tell you something.
What happened?
So I have been really unhappy at work for months now.
Really? I didn't know it was that bad.
Yeah, and I am thinking about just quitting.
Okay, I hear you. But have you thought about what is actually making you unhappy? Is it the job itself or something else?
Honestly, I think it is my manager.
Right. So, if I were you, I'd try to have a conversation with her first before making any big decisions.
I have thought about it, but I don't know how to approach it.
You might want to write down the specific things that are bothering you before the conversation so you stay focused.
That is actually a really good idea.
And why don't you also speak to HR, just to understand your options?
I didn't think of that.
And if things really don't improve, I'd recommend starting to look at other roles while you're still employed. It's much easier that way.
You are right. Thank you. I feel better just talking about it.
Always. That's what I'm here for.
Back to normal. Did you catch all 5 expressions?
Have you thought about what's making you unhappy?
If I were you, I'd talk to her first.
You might want to write things down.
Why don't you speak to HR?
I'd recommend looking at other roles while still employed.
All 5 expressions in one natural, real conversation.
That's always the goal. Common mistakes. Yes, real situations where things go slightly wrong.
Mistake number 1, saying, if I was you, instead of if I were you.
And this happens all the time.
Because in casual speech, even native speakers sometimes say, if I was you.
But in professional or formal settings,
If I were you sounds much more polished,
so train yourself to use were, not was.
especially at work. Mistake number 2, saying, I'd recommend to try instead of I'd recommend trying,
Like, I'd recommend to check the document first.
which sounds wrong.
The correct version is always, I'd recommend checking.
Or I'd recommend the document,
Noun or ing.
never to.
Mistake number 3, using why don't you with the wrong tone.
Because why don't you can sound genuinely critical.
If you say it with frustration.
Like, why don't you just listen for once?
That is not advice.
That is an argument.
So always check your tone.
When using why don't you.
It should feel encouraging, not frustrated.
Mistake number 4, saying, have you thought about to take a break?
Instead of, have you thought about taking a break?
Always ing.
Always. Have you thought about trying?
Have you thought about moving?
Have you thought about speaking to someone?
Always ing.
Never to.
Mistake number 5, overusing one expression.
Like, some learners learn if I were you and use it for everything.
If I were you, if I were you, if I were you.
And it starts to feel repetitive, even a little patronizing.
Like you are always making everything about yourself.
So mix them up.
Use all 5.
Read the situation and choose the right one for that moment. Final mindset moment.
Yes.
And this one connects everything.
Go for it.
Giving advice is not about being right.
It is about being helpful.
And the difference between those two things,
Is everything.
when you give advice to be right,
You lecture.
you instruct.
You tell.
And the other person often switches off.
But when you give advice to be helpful,
You ask.
you suggest,
You invite.
and the other person actually listens.
And today, you have 5 ways to give advice
That feel helpful, not righteous.
that feel warm, not bossy.
That feel respectful, not controlling.
And people will come to you again and again for advice.
When they know you give it that way.
Daily challenge.
Yes, today, someone in your life needs advice
Or will need advice.
at some point today.
And instead of saying, you should,
Use one of today's 5 expressions. If I were you,
you might want to,
I'd recommend,
why don't you,
or have you thought about,
just one in one real situation.
and notice how differently the other person receives it.
And come back and tell us in the comments.
Which expression you used and what happened.
We genuinely love reading those.
And if today helped you, please give it a like.
And subscribe if you haven't already.
New episodes every single week just for you.
All right, everyone.
That is a wrap.
I'm Laura,
And I'm Jamie.
and we will
See you.
next time.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.